for coming on. I'm going to be solo tonight, and you know what? Feel kind of good to be solo, you know, to be able to talk about, you know, some things to keep up on time with the, you know, the steps, you know, and all. You know, I get a little excited by having everybody. We always talking some awesome, very, very important stuff, and giving you a lot of good information on different topics and drugs and alcohol addiction. You know, myself, I'm a grateful recovering addict. My drug of choice was cocaine. And believe me, I put a lot of it away, and it made me do a lot of things. So today I'm going to talk a little bit. I'm a piggy bank off of my girl, Edwina. Edwina is so strong with it, y'all. She is vicious. I'm going to get her back on here next week. She is so vicious with it. You know, she explains, talk about, you know, those steps so strongly and so hard. And her word just is, oh, you said I'm from Nigeria, Tracy. Love from here. Thank you, all the way from Nigeria. Thank you so much. I am not ignoring you, though. Believe me when I tell you that. I don't ignore. Hey, Rashad, that event stopped off the line. I'm still amazed. You know what? Thank you so much, nephew. Thank you. You were all a part of it, and I appreciate everything you've done. When I say everything, I mean everything you've done. You know, y'all really, if it wasn't for you all, I wouldn't have got a lot of things done, and y'all stepped right in and stepped right up, and I really appreciate it. So people are definitely pushing and saying, gotta be another one, Trees. Look, gotta be another one. We gotta keep it going. Even you know what I mean? So I have accepted that. We're going to do it again, and we're going to keep doing it. You know what I mean? Because people are going to keep coming and keep sharing their strength and hopes and helping, you know, the still suffering addicts, alcoholic, and mental health and everything that we talk about on here. And that's just God's blessing. I think that's the walk that God wants to take this, and that's where we're going with it. You know, today I'm going to talk a little bit about humility, you know, and I'm going to talk about a little bit of, you know, my journey, you know, with drug and alcohol addiction, you know, and pretty much why I love it so much, you know, and the results that we get from sharing, you know, and helping each other. I see you, Shelly. Yay. Yeah, so, you know, it was just on my mind this week, you know, and when I got up this morning and I listened to Edwina's live, she hit it right on the nose, boy. She hit it and tore it up. I didn't even want to turn it off, you know. Hey, Tyrone, 10 of Life is tuned in. Thank you. Hey, 10 of Life, send you some hearts. Hey, Sharon. No replay today, baby. That's what I'm talking about. And hi, Regina. How are you? I'm trying to get enough of you guys, you know, before I get started. Tyrone Ricks, how are you? Thanks so much for being on. Benita Doward. You know what? I love you so much, girl. Kiana. Hey, Kiana. Y'all, Key couldn't make it either. But guess what, Key? I have your award, too. You know, I really wish you could have made it. It was such a beautiful night, day. I mean, it was a blessing, Key. You know, but I still have your award, and I'm gonna get you here so I can present it to you. Trust me, you're gonna get it presented. You know, he said, "Can I be your friend?" Okay, we'll get to that. Have you requested me? You know, I don't know whether or not you requested me or not. And when I take a minute, don't be upset, and don't send the cry faces. Because I will try my best to get to that. No doubt about that. I'm not a phone queen, believe me. You know. How you doing, Key? I ain't seen you in a while. And your brother. You know, I didn't forget anybody that came on this show. Well, live. Y'all know me. I call this thing all kinds of stuff. Show, whatever. TV is all the same to me. Thank you, Kiana said. I saw the video. You had an amazing event. Oh, we had a beautiful time, Kiana. Such a beautiful time. They are a spam. I got you, Treese. I'm on top of that, to be honest with you. Yeah. Just didn't want to be rude or whatever, but I'm on top of that. Denise Doward Jones, my beautiful queen. Mwah! How are you, dear? How are you? I love you. I know you know that. I missed you too, but I understood your daughter did tell me you couldn't make it, but that was okay. That was okay. Your spirit was there, and that's for sure. Because you are here every Wednesday. Well, that's okay. If you can't add me, all right? It'll be all right. Yeah, I'm going to talk about a little bit of humility today. I think that's a good topic. I had a few people who has called me and, hey, Benita, and has, people call me sometimes, like messenger me, and we talk about some things sometimes they want to talk about, and, being stuck in yourself, and not being able to allow things, let things go can be detrimental, you know what I mean? So we have to learn how to face that, and ask God for that guidance with that. Denise says, good evening, beautiful lady. Sorry I wasn't able to make it. My daughter told me I missed the amazing affair. Guess what, though? We're going to keep this thing moving on for next year, too, my sister. God granted, we're going to do it. And you probably will make that one. I plan on doing little things in between, too, y'all, because I have, she says, Kiana Palmer said, I've been working with some policymakers in Harrisburg. However, I will try to manage my schedule so I can attend some of the city events. Thank you. Thanks for understanding. Absolutely, Key. Absolutely, girl. You soldier, and you strive for this just as much as myself. You know what I mean? And other, things that Kiana strives with and soldier for. I admire you, I adore you, and I know sometimes we get caught up with some things, and it's okay because we both are on our travels, and you know what, God is blessing us to do just what we do, so continue to do what you do. We will get together, there's no doubt about that. I like to add you, Tracy. Can you do that for me now? No, I cannot. Okay, now I don't want to be rude, but no, I cannot, because personally I feel as though that's a scam, you know what I mean, and I'm not going to answer because not anybody in that is respectful will do what's being done, with that. So I wish I could just disconnect it, and pray on that, you know what I mean. I've been working with some, okay, Tyrone Ricks, good evening, Kiana. That's for you, Key. Hey, Sadara English, what's up, girlfriend? We will connect soon, Key, we will. We'll get to it. We definitely gonna get to it. But you keep on doing what you're doing, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to keep on doing what I'm doing, and we're going to get together and bring an explosion. I already know that. Treese, I have to call you too, because I have an idea, and I have to call you too. Yeah, y'all, we're going to get with, we're going to do some, I'm going to talk a little bit about humidity, I can say humidity. That's crazy. Girl, I don't get ready to say humidity. I've been so tired, kind of after it. My sickness got a little bit to me, but it just drains me a lot sometimes. And, when I think that I'm feeling better and I think I'm feeling good, it's like after the math that, the straining and the tiredness and the inflammation will allow me to know that it still exists. But I was talking about humility. That's the word that I'm going to use today. And I'm going to talk a little bit about where I'm at with it. And, do step 7. Talk about step 7. I'll reach out with the step, and then it becomes conversation. In an everyday life. Everyday lifestyle for addict or an alcoholic, or just for some people, period. Because I told you these 12 steps can work for you. Even if you don't have a drug and alcohol problem. It works for, the message is just straight and humbling and to the point, and it teaches us how to live a normal lifestyle. That's what it's basically saying. Michelle says, I'm better, you must be speaking to somebody. Thank you. Things, transitions, all for the good of God. Absolutely, Shelley. Absolutely. Tree said, I feel you, cousin. I think it's the weather. I don't know what it is, but it got me, got my head hurting, and the inflammation, the tiredness, the drowsiness, all that is, I'm going through with that today, but I'm sorry you dealing with, going through it as well, but you and I both know what it is, girl. Yes, indeed. Yeah, like I said, I'm going to try to, this is my plan, one of my plans. I will be selling my t-shirts, y'all, and I'll be selling some other merchandise, and it'll be a help towards next year's LNMT Awards. It'll be the 2nd anniversary. And what I want to do is, for every t-shirt or part of the merchandise of what I sell, I want to build a scholarship, and give a child a scholarship who lost their parents, through drug and alcohol addiction. I think it's always good to give back, and I think that's the best way, one of the best ways that, I can show my love, and to someone who can use it, Michelle says, you're looking amazing as usual. I'm continuing to keep us lifted in prayer and staying in tune with you because, what is that? I lost it. Because you and your light keeps me encouraged. Thank you, Michelle. You do the same for me. Hey, April, Dennis, Patrice, you said, be easy, beautiful. We need you, and God has work for you. Hey, look, long as I'm a soldier, cuz I'm a soldier. Believe that, because let me tell y'all something. I love what I do. I love the way that I live, in recovery. And I love helping to still suffering, to know that there's a life after drugs. It is. It's a life after drugs. We just have to find the way, and find our God, our higher power, and pray, and mean the pray. That's what this thing of humility is all about as well. We have to really want this thing. Y'all, excuse this, whatever the name is, on here. I'm it's really starting to get on my nerves, but I think the devil, is just working through this thing. It's always trying to come one way or the other, physically, mentally, or spiritually, and me and I'm gonna call her my manager because that's what she said she is. We're working on that so we can start a scholarship as well. Because there's plenty of us who lost our parents. Somebody in the family. From drug and alcohol addiction, because it's a big killer. You know what I mean? But it's never too late to get hold of it and live a good life. You know what I mean? And appreciate, finding a higher power, in prayer and understanding and love and, just on and on with many great things that, you can become. You know what I mean? Just like, Edwina, Kiana, all of us have found, that love in ourselves, to want to love ourselves and, go on in life, helping the still suffering and becoming stronger and stronger, and living the life that we found, and love, and just grow from it. I'm so proud of Kiana. You know what I mean? She's just a prime example, of what I'm saying, but, Michelle, I don't know how to block this thing. You know what I mean? But I'll get it. I'll figure it out afterwards. I'm just going to ignore it. But yeah, the 7 steps says, humbly ask him to remove our shortcomings. Sometimes I go through things, I'm human, and the human side of me go through some things that, I've been thinking about and I've been thinking of. They've just been coming through. You know what I mean? And sometimes I get angry about some of the things. Some of it is like somebody told me I done something, or I said something, and I just can't remember it. You know what I mean? And just sitting down, going through that situation with, finding out that my son was not the alleged father that I truly, humbly in my heart thought he was and knew he was. Because see, it wasn't a thought when I had him, at that particular time. It was definitely, this is your dad, but found out 46 years later that, he's not, and I couldn't think of anybody, when, my son was asking me, I got to go back, you got to remember, and I could not remember. I think it was just a blockage, because I couldn't remember, I remember everything, after my first, my children's dad was my first, and I thought was my one and only, but as we went through some things, I realized that I did, have a one-night affair with somebody, and it ended up taking place, I guess, that night, but I would have died with that. I would have never knew that, you know what I'm saying, if my son didn't come forth with that. But I shared that with y'all, because I'm open with it. I'm not shamed, nor am I embarrassed, you know what I mean? I was devastated and hurt when when he first brought that to my attention, his alleged father and myself. We just never would have, thought that something of that nature happened, but it did, and we all discussed it, thank God, you know what I mean, and it's understandable and forgiven. But ever since then, it seemed like, the door got open for that type of thing, because now, from that particular day, I'm starting to think of all kinds of stuff, that I was dealing with and going through as a young girl, you know what I mean? That thought that she knew the way, but really had no direction of help, to help them. That's why I try to be very open with my grandkids, and I was open with my girls, you know what I mean? Because, and have them, they so tight, because we all need each other, and in my family, I have a big family, you all know, the ages were broken down so largely from each other, so many years apart, it's like 3 sets of us, and I was raised up around my brothers, so, finding out the girly things and the lady things, hey, society helped me with that, you know what I mean? And that's where I was. That was my family too. Society became my family, and that's where I stretched out and yearned out and met people. They became, close to me and family, and I was able to do what I wanted to do. You know what I mean? So, me feeling like I knew, you know, it was a lot that I didn't know as a 17, 18-year-old girl. I can say today, you know, so a lot of my choices and decisions wasn't great. You know, that's how I end up getting caught up. But as I stayed in society, you know, I did a whole lot of things, you know, on my own. Like drugs didn't come for me. I went for drugs. You know what I mean? And I realized that today, you know, it was a comfort zone for me. And it started with marijuana. You know, today I know that marijuana was my beginning. You know, and marijuana made me bold enough and feel strong enough that I could do whatever I wanted to do. You know, whatever type of high that I wanted to deal with, you know. And it took years before I started using cocaine. You know, I snorted cocaine before I smoked cocaine. And as I snorted cocaine, it was what we call functional. You know what I mean? It didn't come in between me, you know, and my responsibilities. You know, it's the day I smoked it. The day I smoked it, I became addicted to the cocaine, you know, going crazy, you know. But I became addicted when I hit the freaking marijuana. You know, it was just the beginning, you know, and the subconscious mind called disease was talking to me then, ever since I was young. You know, it just got this opportunity to have me, you know, go to the bigger and the stronger drugs in a happy way, in a fun way. You know, I enjoy getting high. You know, getting high wasn't, you know, it was my go-to. You know, it was my comfort zone. You know, and, you know, being young as a mother, you know what I mean? I wasn't really ready to be a mother. I had no choice but to be a mother, you know, because I got pregnant, you know, and I had to take care of them babies. And my mom said, you're going to make them, you're going to take care of them, even though she was there the whole time. You know, even in my worst time of my addiction, my mother was always there, you know, and, you know, saved my children from the state and, you know, everything, the danger, the whole 9 yards, you know. But I was just thinking about a lot of things, you know, and it was like humility. Humility means an accurate opinion of wisdom, grace, and favor from God. Y'all know I share with y'all that I didn't even have a love for God at that particular part of my life, you know, because everything that I've always asked God for from a little girl, you know, until I became who I am today. I mean, in my active addiction, he never came through for me. I just felt like he never came through. Today, I understand that he was always there. But the hurt and the pain from, you know, not wanting to remember things or not wanting to be close to him or even knowing him, you know what I mean? It was like out the door. It didn't matter. I didn't care. You know, I just didn't feel like he worked for me. So I started saying I don't even believe in God because he don't do nothing for me, you know. And every day I woke up. Every day I was given a day, you know. But then I didn't feel that. Then it didn't matter to me of that. Then I didn't even think that way. You know what I mean? But anytime I was at my worst time, I always called on him. I always said, God, if you exist, help me. You know, please help me. I wasn't being humble when I said it. I was being like this. You know, if you exist, help me then. You know what I mean? I'm calling him MFers. I'm doing all kinds of nasty stuff. I'm saying all kinds of things. You know what I mean? But I know today that we have a forgiving God. You know, but the things that I was saying back then was just pain. It was not being knowledgeable to the power of God, you know, and knowing that he really exists. And don't forget, I didn't think that he did, you know, so I tried Islam, I tried a couple things, and it just didn't work for me, you know what I mean? And so I'm still angry, you know, I'm still pissed off, I'm still upset, and you can't make me believe that he exists. I see what he's doing for everybody else, and everybody talking about, you know, he's a giving God, you know, give all grace to God and this and that. And then my mom was like, man, I'm not even trying to hear that shit. That he don't work for me, so he don't exist for me. I don't need him. That's what I thought. I thought that I didn't need him. He ain't going to work with me no way. You know, would I do something to him too? These are the things that used to go through my head. You know, knowing my mom was a God-fearing mom, you know, went to church every day, all the time, you know what I mean? And the things that I seen in my young life and that surrounded me in my life couldn't make me believe that God existed in a good way. You know, I felt like he picked and choose who he wanted, you know. So, you know, I found out as time went on, you know, even through my addiction, that I was under construction, you know, and I got that from my cousin, Patrice. She had a segment on her live, you know, and it was titled Under Construction. And that has stuck with me, cousin. That has stuck with me and has allowed me to dig deep, you know, in my inner self and inner thinking, you know, being under construction. Those are such powerful words, man. Such simple, easy, powerful words. And she explained it from the Bible. You know what I mean? That just draws me closer and closer and closer to the Bible to learn how to read it myself. But me, I like simple things. You know, for me, you can give me the video or something. You know what I'm saying? But it has become a part of me and has allowed me to understand that everybody's under construction. Life is under construction. The choices and decisions that we make, you know, is part of the, you know, construction, you know, and all of us don't make great choices. You know I didn't make great choices. You know, I was angry at everybody, you know, my sisters, you know what I'm saying, you know, because I felt like they should have been closer to me, you know what I mean? But they were under construction as well. Everybody was under construction. And I know and found today that I have a forgiving God, so I had to learn how to forgive and let God. So I'm there today, but back then I was not, you know. So drugs became my comfort zone. Being in the streets became my comfort zone. Being in the streets was where I got attention. Being in the streets was where I made things happen, you know. And doing the drugs back then, the snorting of the drugs, I was comfortable with that. It didn't make me fear it, and it didn't make me think that I was going to become a junkie, not even knowing that I already was. You know, today I understand that, and I know that. You know, but back then I wasn't. I was cool, I was calm, and I was collected. At least that's what I thought I was. And that's how a whole lot of people's dealing in the streets today. You know what I mean? You know, they feel like it's all right, but for a lot of us, it's a comfort zone. I realize that today. It is a comfort zone, you know? And being under construction is something that you always can learn. We always have to learn something or face something or deal with something in life. That's how I see it. You know what I mean? I took those words that my cousin was preaching, and I put it in me, you know, and how and what that means to me, for me, you know, because I keep things on the eye, you know what I'm saying? And that's the way that I have to live, you know, but it allows me to understand the addict even more. You know, we are very much under construction. We are so dug deep into destruction that we don't realize that we're under construction. Does that make sense to you guys? You know, it makes a lot of sense to me. Hey, Belada, how you doing? You know, part of being under construction in recovery to me is like the secrets that we keep, you know, and how we suppressed a lot of things that we don't want to face, you know, that can cause pain. You know, in my world of living as an addict, pain is vicious. Pain is, I can't even describe to you all what that pain feels like. You got to be one to know it. You know what I'm saying? But it also, for us, if there's no pain, there's no gain. And in recovery, we have to learn that, and we have to accept that. You know, it's not simple and it's not easy, but it's I realize that it's a part of the construction that we have to learn how to deal with, you know. And I think step 7, humbly ask him to remove all our shortcomings. It explains that as well, you know. I say, like, keeping, like, when you know that things that have happened, you know, on the surrender part, things that has happened and they hurt so bad, because disease is cunning, baffling, and powerful, and it knows how to make you feel bad and sad and hurt and funny and crazy and all that at the same time. You know, it's a crazy situation. The disease is just vicious, you know, and it knows how to pick and choose. It's like that puzzle I'll be talking about in the brain that it's just playing a little game with. You know what I mean? And not allowing you to choose and pick and understand the fact that your body is viciously breaking down, you know, and you're trying to fight it, you know, and being under construction is not being realized, you know, and all we know is to, you know, tear down. You know, and it throws us to the wrong choices and decisions. I don't know if y'all still with me, but I'm trying to explain this the best way that I can, you know, on the eye. You know, and what it did to me was it beat me down so bad that, you know, I could never see what I know today as being under construction and what I've heard and what I have learned and basically what I've been taught. You know what I mean? From another human, from another person, human being, from another person, from God's words, you know. So what I'm saying is, I kept so many secrets that I didn't want to tell, you know what I mean. And being under construction, I needed to do that. I needed to come forth, get honest, and say what is needed to be said to release the weight of pain that has kept me down and kept me stagnated from wanting to surrender and get better, you know, and become humble, you know, and release the pain that I am still feeding my disease, not realizing that that's what I was doing, you know. So I wrote some things down because I want to touch point, you know, with everything. So, you know, the journey of life, you have to grow through it, and then you have to get through it. You know what I mean? And all that is a part of the journey of an addict's life. You follow what I'm saying? We have to grow through it. We have to learn. We have to learn how to listen so we can hear, so we can see our way through this, you know, and to become better for ourselves, you know, and get better with our addictions. You only know what you know and do what you do. You know what I mean? But you have to learn how to live in your truth in order to get better. You know, a lot of us are living in our truth, but are we? You know what I mean? We have to dig so deep. You know, it's like digging down to the dinosaur bones. You know what I mean? And I want to get it all out of me. I want to get everything that I could possibly surrender to, you know, and make amends for, and help, you know, teach the next suffering addict, you know, the way, you know, of this construction. Make sense what I'm trying to say? You know, so this is what living in my truth is all about. I really feel that step 7, you know, has really helped me to understand me. It has helped me to get honest with myself. It has helped me to grow. It has helped me to become more humble in God and people. You know what I mean? In places, you know, also doing things. You know, I'm a person that was stuck in a lot of her ways as well. You know what I mean? I'm a person that didn't mind fighting. I'm a person that didn't mind cussing you out. I'm a person that didn't mind stealing. I'm a person that didn't mind tricking. I'm a person who didn't mind doing a whole lot of things. you know, but today I have the wisdom to know the difference. Today I am under construction and I am learning, and I'm learning every single day. I learned through just seeing a person smile. I learned through just hearing a person speak. I learned through just watching the things in life, you know, or watching a movie and catching a part of me on it, you know, that will go, Dad, I can relate to that. That was me. You know what I mean? I learned by just listening to a song. You know what I mean? I am so open for recovery. I'm so open for learning. I am open to get this construction where it needs to be. You know what I mean? And I'm trying not to rush it because I only have one day, and I'm trying to take it one day at a time. But I can wake up in the middle of the night, y'all, and think of something, and it'll wake me up out my sleep. You know, and I'll go write it down because writing is my best friend. You know what I mean? Because if I don't write it down, I'm going to forget it. And I don't want to say it any way than I said it then, because it meant something to wake me up so that I could feel it. You know what I mean? So my feelings goes deep. You know, I think I'm in touch with my feelings, but there's a lot of feelings that I'm not in touch with. You know, and I still have to grow, and I still have to grow, and I still have to listen, and I still have to be able to hear, you know, so I can see. And I thank you, Patrice, for that construction statement. That thing sticks with me so deeply, you know, because I'm starting to get emotional from it, because I felt like I was doing great. I felt like, you know what I mean, I'm there. You know, I'm doing what I got to do. I done started the podcast. I done did this. I done stopped listening to the left ear and start dealing with the right ear. And all the time, I'm still under construction. That means in recovery, you can't get right. You got to stay green. You're going to constantly grow. You're going to keep on growing, you know, because I don't have it all. You know, I still have to cleanse myself. Even though I'm on that 40-year point from cocaine, I have not touched cocaine. You know what I mean? That's a long time. But guess what? I got that time in one day at a time. You know, so when they offer me a one day at a time way of life, I couldn't understand it at first, but I'm getting to understand it more and more and more. And I'm becoming more open, you know, with myself on certain things, you know, and dealing with certain people. You follow? I'm trying to get the humble to the point where, you know what, you are you and I am I. And what works for me may not work for you. And what works for you may not work for me. I can be the most true friend to you in the world, but then find out that you're not as true to me as I am to you. So how am I going to deal with that? I'm going to give it to God. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give it to God. I'm not going to let it, you know, take me to another level of where I am in building myself. You know what I mean? That means being under construction to me too. You know, it made sense to me. You know, I post something, I can't get all the words because I read a lot of these posts and I pick and choose what I want to put on it. You know what I mean? When I put it on Facebook, you know, and pretty much it was saying how sometimes you can be a person that has a lot of things going on for yourself, and a person with a title feel as though they should have more attention or more than you have, you know, under construction. You follow what I'm saying? And I realized, this woke me up the other night, you know, that I have people, you know, that's in my life that's like that, you know, and I just say, why? You know what I mean? Why? Because God has a walk for all of us. You know, what did you like me when I was down more? You know what I mean? You like me when I was out there roaming them streets? You like me when I was out there, you know, not being able to take care of my children? You like me when I was out there weighing 82.5 pounds? You follow what I'm saying? You know, versus what God gave me and in my construction has building me up. You know what I mean? To allow me to get better, to allow me to be close to Him, you know, to allow me to forgive, who is allowing me not to be able to fall because you talking smack. You know what I'm saying? I realize that. I realize that people can be cruel. People can be with a smile on your face, you know what I mean? And wish you bad. Don't even wish you good. You know what I mean? That person is under construction as well because, see, they got to see God just like me. You know what I mean? They think they know more than me because they've been into God's world longer than I have. But you haven't been longer than I have. I just wasn't recognizing. That's all. God is in everybody's life. Every single day. Every second of the day. You know what I mean? He don't have any special. We all his children. That's how I see it. You know, I hope y'all staying up with me and where I'm going with this. You know, it's just what I'm feeling, you know, and how I'm thinking about it. If I'm wrong, shout me out. Give me some info. You know what I mean? Help me to, you know, to build this construction up. You follow what I'm saying? But I'm quite sure I'm on the right path. And guess what? I love him anyway, but I love you from a distance. You understand? I love you from a distance because I can't say nobody is this or nobody is that because I am this and I am that and I decided to become me. Today, I decided to get better today. I decided to stand up for God first and then work on me and then share what I've worked on in my construction. You know what I mean? With the world, with everybody. You follow what I'm saying? I have no hatred in my heart today. I really don't because I learned how to live like God. I don't worry about what this person is doing or that person is doing because my mind is too forward on loving my family, being a mother, being a grandmother, you know, being a great-grandmother, helping people with this drug and alcohol addiction, you know, helping the people who's under construction, you know what I mean? The best way I know how. I'm still Tracy Allen. I'm still Tracy Allen. You follow what I'm saying? But I'm just a better Tracy Allen. You feel what I'm saying? And I'm going to keep on growing, and I'm going to keep on learning, and I'm going to keep on trying to understand this thing because I tell you, these 12 steps of Narcotic Anonymous is me. And, you know, it's me all over. You know how people have astrology? Well, I have this. You know what I mean? And I believe in every single one of these steps that has helped me to grow and to get where that I am today. You know what I mean? And y'all, you know what? People can keep you down, family. People can try to keep you down. And I'll call it all disease because they taught me that disease come through people, places, and things. And it is so true. It is so true. You follow me? It is so strong. You know, it's just wrapped all around you. So this is why you have to build your circle, you know, and let in who you choose to and who you don't choose to and keep them in it from a distance. You know, and it works for me. And I hope that if somebody can hear what I'm saying today, that it can work for you. Believe me that it can. You follow me? I'm starting to get a little emotional again because you know what? When love from God comes in me, it builds me up to this type of feeling. You know what I mean? That I get emotional. I ain't never been an emotional person, but guess what? It's starting to feel good now. You follow what I'm saying? It's starting to feel good now because for years I couldn't let a tear out. For years I couldn't be emotional because I was stunted too hard, you know, to be hard. You know what I mean? And don't cry, you know, and keep all that cry inside. That's why I couldn't make decisions the way that they should have been made. I couldn't make the right decisions. I couldn't make rational decisions because I was mean, I was mad, I was hurt, you know what I mean? And I was wearing masks. You follow? Under construction. I was wearing masks. You follow? Well, today I choose to unmask myself. I really do. I choose to unmask myself, and I choose to soldier what I'm doing and do it the best way that I can do it. You know? I can give back the way that I have my strengths, you know what I mean, and I have my hopes, you know, and I'm keep going to try to find people who want to come on and share their strengths and their hopes, you know, to help the still suffering, you know, addicts and alcoholics, even the people who suffering with this, even the people who suffering being under construction and don't realize that you're under construction. You know what I mean? It's just not alcohol and drugs. It's life. Like they say, life be lifing. You know what I mean? And you got to have God and pick and choose the right way of living and the choice of God who created us all and created all of this. He comes first, and you got to come to believe in him. And things is going to start changing for you because it's sure enough changed for me. I'm convinced. I am truly convinced. You know, and it feels good. It feels real good. I don't mind being emotional. I really don't. I don't mind. I like this feeling because it allows me to know that I am working on self. I am trying to do the best that I can do for me, so I can do the best that I can do for you. You know what I mean? To love my family. I can't change nobody, and the only person I can change is me. But I can understand you. I can understand the construction that we're going under, but your construction is yours and mine is mine. I'm realizing that today. You know what I'm saying? But I do know we're all under construction in one way or another. In one way or another. Again, the journey of life, you have to go through it to get through it. And that's what I'm doing. That's what we all doing. We're going through certain things. We're going through certain situations. But we got to find our way out and pray and ask God to get us through it. I believe that. Definitely believe that. And emotionally, I really do. Emotionally, I feel good. I feel good when I'm talking. And these type of things is coming out of my mouth. It's not just coming out my mouth. It's coming out my heart. It's coming out my soul. It's cleansing me. You know what I mean? It's cleansing me. And I hope for some of the things that I say can help cleanse you or just give you a chance to think about it. Give yourself a chance to think about it. This life out here, life in today is off the hinges. Off the hinges. I was just telling one of my colleagues how much I like being home. How much I like being in the house. And I'm in here by myself most of the time. And I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. I'm either studying in this, reading something to this, or just getting into me. You know what I mean? Just thinking about things. My higher power always sends something my way to grab my attention, and I'm always trying to fix me. Always trying to fix me. I don't go overload with it. I don't like lose it, trying to lose it from me. Man, it's just so much construction is going on and that has happened in my life that I have to find these things, because some of it is still weight. It's still weight on me. Some things are. I've been through a lot. I've been through a whole lot, just like any average person. You follow what I'm saying? Death. It just comes, and it keeps coming, and it keeps coming. It was one year the cloud was over top of our heads. You know what I'm saying? It was my aunt, then it was my sister, then it was my godson, then it was my son, then it was my mom, then it was my godmother, straight in a row. Like weeks apart. It was crazy. You know what? Being under construction. That's being under construction as well. You know what I'm saying? And my higher power was there with me through all of it. Through all of it. And I was going all over the place with anger, with resentment, with questions like, why? Why me? Why this gotta happen the way that it's happened? But when my baby went, oh my gosh, disease came with full force. You follow what I'm saying? That thing is cunning, baffling, and powerful. And I understand exactly what they mean by that. It came through me, through my baby. You understand? My son was killed. You follow? But I got through it. I went through it. You know what I mean? And I had to get through it. All this is construction. And I hope I'm on the right track with this, Patrice. All of this is construction in my life. You follow what I'm saying? And I'm getting through it. And I got through it. I was just thinking about my boy. I was just thinking about him. He just came up out of nowhere. And I just started thinking about him. I think I was strolling through my phone to find a picture to post for something else. And his favorite picture of mine came up. So I said, damn, this thing is real. Boy, my boy is gone. My boy is dead. I miss him. So I just started thinking about, I was getting angry about him being killed. Then you know what I did? I stopped and I prayed. And I said, God, just give me the strength. Because see, my son wasn't always into what he was into. That was part of his construction, as well. You follow? He was in society as well. He was in his world. You follow what I'm saying? Trying to get better, trying to get through the tunnel, But because of his world, he didn't make it through. You follow me? So I started thinking about all the good things about him. I started thinking about the fun things about him. I started thinking about the kooky things about him, like getting on my nerves all the time. You know, he was a beautiful person. You follow? But he was my baby. You know? So I just kept thinking about all the good things. So when I post that post, it wasn't about bad, you know, or hurting or pain. It was about fun and happy times and good times with him and how much I miss that. You know what I mean? Because every time I think about the worst of them, it outweighs the best of them. You know what I mean? And I know my son was good. Addiction and disease don't discriminate. And I said, Tracy, you know all of this. So you put his good times, his beautiful days, you know, all the great things that he's done for people, in places, doing things. You know, everybody know him, loved him, except the society that didn't like him, you know, from the streets. You know, people always say great things, good things about him. So we can't forget that they have good attributes with themselves as well. You follow? We born these children. I born my son from birth, and I loved him from the day. Well, I did have a little confusion there because he came out so white. You know what I mean? I was like, oh shoot, this ain't my baby. They done mixed this baby up some kind of way. But, you know, raising him, loving him, you know what I mean? Seeing him grow. You know, the whole 9 yards. Those are the part of the things that make me smile when I think about my boy. You know what I mean? Just all the crazy little things he used to do, like falling off the big wheel. You know, stuff like that. You know, that makes me laugh. You know, and how I handled it. And, you know, fun times that we had just talking and, you know, doing crazy things and saying crazy things, you know. I try not to think about all the bad because that's what will take me and shatter me and take me down. And disease will love for me to be angry. It would love for me to go off track. You know, it would love for me to, you know, stay in pain, you know, because it still hurts. Don't get me wrong. It's going to always hurt. You know what I mean? But once you turn it over, I know you have to turn it over. And this is what I am trying to do, is to completely turn this over, you know, to my higher power. You know, and he's given me the direction of where I need to go with it. You know, I forgot about my son's happy times, but, you know, I'm aware of them now. And that's another thing that had me, you know what I mean, not feeling that I suppressed, you know what I'm saying? And it all has to come out. It all has to come out. You know, you have that step 7 is that's a shortcoming for me. You know, it all has to come out, and I have to face all these things and the truth of the whole thing. Like, I never tried to make my son out to be not the one, or he shouldn't, or this shouldn't have happened to him and this shouldn't happen. He was in the life. Even when he chose to come out of the life is still life in. And that was nice. I didn't know I was going to say that. But that's what life means, life in. Life is just life in. Makes sense. He just learned something else. You know what I mean? Because I'm very sincere and I'm very honest, you know, about what I'm saying, you know, about him, you know. But, you know, I was just, you know, just bringing it up, you know, to the fact, like I said, this is on the eye today, you know what I mean? And, you know, I realized some things, you know, that I may have recovery in my life, but I don't have it all, you know, and I don't have everything. And I have to continue to grow and continue to know that I'm still a work in progress, you know, just like any and everybody else. You know, a lot of people say, oh, Tracy, thank you for this and thank you for that. You know what I mean? You are this and you are that. You know, hey, Edwina, I was hoping that you was on here. You know, I kind of tagged off of what you shared about earlier today. You know what I mean? It touched me that much, you know, and, you know, I have to be humble to myself. I have to be honest with myself. I can't stop thinking like, you know, Trey, you pretty much you pretty much, you got this now. You know what I mean? You can go ahead and continue to do this now. Like this podcast is a blessing. This podcast is not only a blessing for the still sick and suffering and the people who come on here as family with us, it's a blessing to me as well. You know what I mean? Because this helps me just like I'm trying to help somebody else. You know what I mean? It's teaching me. I'm growing from it. You know what I mean? I'm growing from, when you guys are shouting out to me. You know what I mean? I'm getting like a lot of phone calls, messengers and all that kind of stuff. And sometimes Aziz will send his little thing through that too. You know what I mean? And then it become overwhelming, a little bit too much. I don't want this to be too much. You know what I mean? I want to take it all one day at a time, as I have been. You know what I mean? And just do what I can do in that day. For me. I have to stay on top of myself. You know what I mean? Because the program I come from is a selfish program. You follow? Those 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous taught me how to get where I'm at and still teaching me how to continue to grow. I believe in it so much and I love it so much till sometimes disease is like that puzzle I was telling y'all about in your head and that matrix thing can sometimes send things in pieces that are the pieces, but they're in the wrong time, at the wrong time, for certain stuff. I'm learning that. That's under construction. I'm learning that as well. This thing is cunning, baffling, and powerful. My life is beautiful today. I don't know what's in store for me tomorrow, but I know I got through yesterday and I went over rocks, hills, and through water and ocean and pain. I feel for these people who have been drenched with water. You know what I mean? With Texas, and all that. Things today, it happens. Life is life. And when you get to learn your emotions and you get to learn how to care, for people that sometimes bounce in your own world. And it can make things heavy there as well, because what can I do to help them besides pray for them? You follow what I'm saying? And hope that it reaches them, and hope that things can change for them. My heart is just growing so beautifully and so gratefully, but it still has to be cleansed of a lot. It still has to be cleansed and it's still under construction. And in the life that I live, I can't get right. I can't get too right that I feel like, okay, I'm saved, okay, you know what I'm saying? I'm doing this and I'm doing that, so, I ain't got to worry about nothing. Hell, I don't know what's going to happen 9 o'clock tonight. You follow me? I don't know what's going to happen. So I have to be relaxed within myself and aware of the things that surrounds me and even myself. But I'm definitely aware of this disease, that's for sure. You know what I mean? But it's a tricky little thing. I can't stand it. You know what I mean? It's so tricky. It's so nasty. It's so uncommon. To God be all the glory. I understand that, Edwina. I understand that to the utmost. You know what I mean? But this vicious disease that we have, it always try to come in between it. I'm not allowing it, and I'm glad that I'm aware of it. You know what I mean? But it be so much sometimes that comes in my mind that I wish I could do this, I wish I could do that. I want to be here, I want to be there. I trusted this person, I trusted that person. And all of it comes, a lot of it comes from that life be life-ing thing. You follow what I'm saying? And then you find out the real deal and the truth, you know what I'm saying? And you accept it, and then it gets lighter all over again. So that's just, being aware. To be aware is to be alive in my lifestyle. You know that. You know what I'm saying? And then know how to pass it over to God and let him do it. I move out the way. I learned that. I have to move out the way and I have to let him do it. And it'll come back to me in the way that he sees fits. When I was asking for help, and I was told that, I have to keep asking God, for these awakenings and keep growing, and I have to keep evolving. So that I feel as though that I'm doing. You know, sometimes my patience can get a little, you know what I mean? So I'm growing on that particular part of life as well. You know, so I've been asking for so much, y'all, because I feel so good. You know, even when I'm feeling bad, you know, that prayer just brings me back to feeling good. You know, again, because of the strong belief that I have in it today. You know, and I'm very, very grateful for that. I'm very humble for that. You know, I have to keep succeeding. I got to keep moving. I got to keep exploring. And most importantly, I got to keep loving. You know what I mean? I definitely have to keep loving me. You know what I mean? So that I can love, like I said, you, you know, and someone else. You know what I mean? I'm just like, just realizing that I was out of order. You know what I mean? For quite some time in my life, that I am actually, you know, where I can see, you know, I can really see, you know, and I've learned how to see again, as I say, by listening, so I can hear what I was listening to, you know, and now I'm able to see what people have been, you know, God has been saying to me and there for me, and just the, you know, double disease, you know, was just, you know, blocking that part of the brain where it just wasn't registering. But today, you know, I have disease in remission. You know, that shows the power of a higher power. You know what I mean? And it's up to me to keep it there, you know, and to be aware of the people, places, and things, you know, that surrounds me and I have to deal with in my everyday life. And to know and understand that, you know, we're all always under construction. We are. And today, you know, I work hard on that. I really do. I work hard on that, you know, and I feel good with the results, you know, and that's the most important thing. I know that my higher power is there. You know, Stacy Love said prayer leads to peace and peace leads to praise. Absolutely. You know, I've learned so much from you, Stacy. You know, I learned so much, you know, to listen. I listen to you, you know, and you're such a gift. You are. You're such a gift, you know, because I listen to your live in the morning as well, as much as I possibly can. And you and I really become close through this technology, you know, to the point where we now love each other, you know what I mean? You know, enhance chance with each other. Hey, Nasir, you know, and Regina. How you doing, Regina Lawler? Hey, Sharon. Anita, how you doing? Hey, y'all, I want y'all to know that, you know, you may have not could come to the LNMT award, the purple carpet, but guess what? Your spirits was there. You know, it's like I felt everybody like I feel you on this live, you know, and I appreciate your donations to the ones of y'all who asked me to give them to somebody else, and that's exactly what I did, you know. So I appreciate you. I want you to know that, you know, you don't go unappreciated. You do, you know, and we're going to do this next year. So maybe next year we can all plan for it, you know, and do it again. I'm just being asked to continue it, you know, and if that's what God chooses for me to do, that's what will be done, you know, and, you know, everything gets better in time, you know. So I'm going to give y'all some hearts. Now, what happened? See, I think it's my Wi-Fi or something down here in Delaware. This thing go out, on, off, you know, to a point where it'll just get stuck, you know. So I'm going to hope that the iPad don't get stuck, you know. So I want to give you guys some hearts as well. Nasir, Shadia, and 5 others are watching with you. Thank y'all. Hey, Rosetta, I'm glad to see you on as well. Girl, I was just feeling myself today. You know what I mean? Y'all know I like to talk about some things, processing love. From Edwina said, just part of the process. Love on the process. Absolutely. If I can, Edwina, I want to get you back on here next week. I need you to call me. You know, I need you to come sit on this couch with me next week. If you have time, I would love for you to come sit back on the couch with me. Beleda said, please stay on the path. God got you on, got you helping a lot of people. Thank you. I truly see that. You know, through this live, I know that. You know, it also, you all are helping a lot of people just from being on here. You know what I mean? And the ones that come on and share their strength and hope. I want everybody to know that if you come and sit on this couch, it doesn't matter to me whether or not you just come sit with me. You know what I'm saying? Because you being here, somebody being on the side of me only makes this greater. It makes more come from me. You know what I mean? And I promise you, you don't have to get in the conversation, but you will. You follow what I'm saying? Because there's nobody on here that's judging anybody. You know what I'm saying? Everybody is on here listening. You know, some don't want to say what's going on, but they feel it through this live. They hear it. You know, they feel it, and that's still helping somebody. Everybody has a time to be ready. You know what I mean? I don't try to make anybody come on here. You know, but now I'm getting calls to people who wants to. You follow what I'm saying? That's actually getting the understanding and the purpose of what this all is for. You know? So you don't have to rush yourself, but think about it. Think about it. If it's helping you, hey, you can help somebody else. That's all. I don't feel judged. I don't care who knows what I'm telling you. I'm telling you. You follow what I'm saying? Because I've surrendered to it. I accept the things I can't change. I change the things I can. And I have the wisdom to know the difference. And I know a lot of people is stuck there because they don't want people to know, you know, that they even been through anything. But everybody's under construction with something. It don't have to be the drugs and alcohol. It don't have to, you don't have to feel shame to anything. We have the mental health that comes on. We have the sight. We have the addiction of men. You know what I mean? People, I mean, now they're coming on here, you just speaking. You're just speaking your truth. We need to do this because we've been so wrapped up and stuck in this man's world. You know how this stuff is. Look, world going crazy. You know what I mean? Let's love on each other. You know what I mean? Let's help each other. You follow? Because they got us all confused. They got us all beat down. You know what I mean? They put this country together totally wrong. If y'all know where I'm going with it, you know what I mean? And we've been followers and always been enslaved to this day. You know what I mean? They knew how to do it. They had a plan, and their plan is working. You follow what I'm saying? But see, we done woke up, though. You follow? We know how to love. We know how to love on each other. We know now how to accept the things we can't change. We breaking out of those bricks. We breaking out of that jail that they had us in. You know what I mean? With the truth. Because the truth is going to set you free. The truth is going to set us free. And not this little crazy world that they got through ourselves. You know, through us and God. We getting there. We there. You know, let's help each other. Let's continue to help each other. You know? Let's give it to each other. Let's help each other understand us. You know, because all that stuff they give us down to their freaking medicines, you know, is tearing us up. It's tearing us up. You know, I'm loving what I'm doing. I am. I'm loving what I'm doing, and I'm loving to love on you. I'm loving it. You know, I don't care about who this, who's that, or who say this. I'm definitely paying attention. That's for sure. I'm definitely paying attention. You know, as much as I possibly can. And I realize today, you know, that this thing called slavery has never ended. It has never stopped. You know what I mean? And I am one who is breaking through. I'm breaking through like Harriet Tubman. Trust me when I tell you that. In this real world, I am no longer going to be bowed down and be slave to these people. I'm going to live my life one day at a time under the roof of my God. That's what I'm going to do, because that's who saved even our slaves through this thing. You know, this world is cruel. It's messed up. It's tore up from the floor up. And I'm quite sure we're not too blind to see that no more. But we got to wake up and we got to help each other. We do. Hey, sis. My sis said, well, you know I love you. Forever bond. Sisters are forever. Absolutely, my sister. I love you unconditionally. And that's my real sister. That's my older sister. She gonna kill me for that one. I'm gonna tell you, that girl can still ride scooters and bikes. But I love her to death. She's always there. She is always there. Period. She's always there. I love you, Hud. You know, love you to death. You know, but it's real, y'all. I'm telling you. You know, I got a little frustrated with this freaking Social Security crap. Oh my gosh, I didn't know I was going to have to pay for insurance. Girl, these people is something else. You hear me? Something else. All I asked them was to cash me out. Cash me out my money. Let me do what I want to do with it. And they still got controls. I'm still bronzed by these people. No matter how you look at it. No matter how you look at it. They ain't nothing but rotten thieves. Rotten thieves. And I know everybody who's filing to the Social Security bit understand exactly what I'm saying. And if you don't, that's a whole nother segment. I'm going to tell you, girl, this thing is vicious. So we better be on our prayers. You understand? We better be prayed up. There's no ifs and buts about it. You know what I mean? Because these people in this world are wicked. They are devils. Devil's advocates. That's what they are. You know what I mean? And we're going to be struggling until we die. And then they take your stuff from there to your Social Security. They done flip this thing around to the point where I believe it ain't going to be no more. So y'all better get on that one. Anybody who's getting that Social Security thing, man, it's a ripoff. It ain't nothing but them still taking our money and giving us the fake money to shop on their land just like they did the slaves. You understand what I'm saying? The slaves ain't had real money, they had their money. You know what I'm saying? And they shopped in their stores. And we're still doing the same thing. You know what I mean? It's just in this day and time. You know, these people are sick. They are sick people. You know, and they're going to make us struggle even when we feel like we're not. They're going to steal even if our eyes can't see it. Because that are who they are. Period. I'm going to get off of that. I'm going to get off of that. You know? And, you know, I just wanted to say some of these things today because that is what was in my heart. You know, that's kind of what all I've been thinking about for the last few days. You know what I mean? You know, and, you know, being in construction, you know, also under construction, you know, is a powerful, powerful information there. It's strong, you know what I mean? And we have to understand what it is. And all of what I said today is, for me, you know, it is. You know, and it's going to always be, you know, some construction. So we're going to always be in construction. You follow what I'm saying? Until God said enough is enough and He going to come save us. He going to take us away from this thing. You know? And for as long as I can breathe today, I could say, you know what? I'm going to pray. I'm going to pray, and I'm going to always believe in prayer, and I'm going to know that my God is a powerful God, you know, and He loves me, you know, and He is nurturing me, you know what I mean? And He's asking me to do exactly what I'm doing for the still you, the suffering addict and alcoholics today. And for each day that I can wake up and do this, I'm going to continue to do it because it's embedded in my heart. You know what I'm saying, Edwina? Show me some hearts. You know, I'm going to give you all these hearts, you know, and I did make it through this time. You know, I hope we talked about a lot. I hope that a lot of us, you know, if you're not where I'm at, taste it. Taste it a little bit. You know what I mean? I promise you it tastes good. I promise you it tastes good. you know, and it's healthy and it's strong. You follow me? You know, and it's just blessing after blessing. Edwina said, is the dynamic spirits working through people, places, and things, including us as, what does that say? The Troy, the road of spirituality. Got the little dots on it, and when you know I ain't too crazy about this, smart trying to get this through somehow, you know. But it is a dynamic spirit working through people, places, and things, including us as we spiritually freedom. I got you. What you're saying? Absolutely. Absolutely. So everybody, here's some hearts for you. Y'all know if I didn't get through the whole thing about the shirts, I'm going to repeat it again. The merchandise that I'm selling is to help raise money for the next LNMT Awards, but most importantly, half of each thing that I sell is going towards a scholarship with the the children that lost their parents, or a parent through drug and alcohol addiction. You know what I mean? I always feel it's good to give back, and it's good to help somebody. You know what I mean? And a lot of our children struggle, by losing their parents. So I just want to give back to them, and create this scholarship, so if you down too, you know what I mean? Let's get some of this merchandise that I have. I'm going to keep it coming, so that, things can be even better next year, God granted, you know what I mean, as it was great this year, so again, the merchandise is always available, the t-shirts, the jackets, the hoodies, I'm even having pocketbooks done, y'all. I have created some of my own, but I'm actually really trying to get a line of the logo of Living in My Truth. Bags, pocketbooks, towels, blankets, whatever. And I hope that you all can patronize that. Hey, Sophia. I didn't see you, baby. And y'all, when we cut off this, please share this. Share this so other people can get this information, so other people can see this. I'm going to start getting back on my game again with some posting, and all of that has just shut me down a little bit through, creating the LNMT Awards. Anybody who wants to come on and share, don't forget we can do it video too. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to come to the couch. We can do it video as well. And I have a line of people, I'm lining them up for that as well, video style. Stacy Love, be encouraged and enjoy the rest of your evening. Smooches. See you, baby. I'm starting to struggle a little bit too. I'm kind of aching and becoming real tired and drained from this sickness. But I thank everybody for coming on, everybody for listening to me tonight. Edwina, please call me when this goes off, or I'm going to call you. Sharon, I see you. I see you saying, are the sweatshirts in my size available? Yes, I got plenty of them now. Yeah, I have plenty of them. I even got some new ones. Edwina, you like that jacket you bought? I see you jumped on that jacket. That thing is sharp. I know you I know you're going to enjoy that jacket. Guys, I'm going to get ready to come off. I'm going to leave with the serenity prayer. God grants me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And Sharon, you can call me as well. Edwina, call me when we hang up. And I thank everybody for coming on tonight. I see you guys next week. We'll have a guest next week, but God bless.